guess I'm gonna start off with the beginning. So the first issue was getting like the funding because I haven't, set up the PayPal account yet and all that bullshit and a bunch of other issues with my ID spanning back like years ago. That's besides the point. So that's kind of what I was going to go over to Ethan's house. And so I thought Ethan was going over to my place because, I thought his brother was taking him over back to my place. So then I kind of just waited there at my house at 5 o'clock until like 12 in the morning. And then I saw Ethan online, so I went to talk to him, and he said, "Oh, where the hell were you? I thought you were gonna come here." And I said, "No, I wasn't going to do that." He said, "Well, my brother can't really take me, so that's a bit of an issue." So I said, "Okay, I got an idea. We'll go to like a dinner, and I know that uh, Tono doesn't exactly. Tono hasn't exactly had cities before, so I thought, oh man, this is just kill two birds with one stone. Take Tono to cities, and then get my payment for building Ethan's keyboard." So then that was an ordeal that I had to get ready for. So then we went over to Sadie's, and that was a fine, funny time. I can't remember what exactly happened. There was like furries and Nazis and Nazi furries and whatnot. That's not important. So then once I finally got the payment, I went back to my house in order to buy the parts, and I was looking and I was looking and I was looking and I couldn't I didn't have access to my history on my Amazon computer, or sorry, on my large computer, uh, for the exact part that I needed. So then I kind of kept looking and then looking and looking, and then I finally came up on something that looked exactly like something that I was buying. So I thought, okay, this is exactly what I was buying. So then I did buy it, and I wasn't able to afford. I wasn't able to afford next day shipping because for some reason it was like a 10 gap price range. It went up $10 from what it was last time, and I also needed money for like the O-ring, so I could slap it in there and give it a new brand new paint job, and everything will be fine. So then I end up looking again, and it was an entirely different keyboard, and this is already after I had bought it. So I was looking back and forth, and I had to tell Ethan like, "Oh shit, I bought the wrong fucking keyboard. This is all terrible." So and it probably won't have a metal case, which is extremely upsetting. So then I wait an entire week. Thank God it finally comes in late, like a day late, mind you. And then I look at it. Thank Jesus it had. Thank God it had a metal case to it. I was super happy about that. So then I took my desoldering iron and I just got to work. I opened it up. For some reason, it had 14 billion screws. It has so many screws. And then I tried desoldering it, and it looked like a very interesting solder job. And they put like glue over the solder, and I know that it wasn't hot swappable because I looked back at it and it wasn't at all hot swappable. So then I ended up having to go through this lengthy process. I had to first off, I flipped the keyboard over, and then I had to take desoldering gun. I had to jam it in there, and then I had to flip it back over. I had to, without properly doing it, yank out the switches. I had to flip it back over. I had to put the desoldering gun back on the exact same spot. Then I had to flip it over one more time, and then take pliers and then yank it out. And then I had to do that 140 more times because of there was two for every there was two for every switch, and it was a 75%. So yeah, that was a lot of fucking unnecessary work, and I don't understand why they put glue over the solder. So that was fine. I was fine with that, I guess. Well, I was fine with that until my goddamn soldering gun fucking broke because it got jammed with glue. I opened it up and it was stuck to the top. The suction compartment was stuck to the top. So then I ended up ripping half of the components out. And then I spent 45 minutes trying to jam it back into the tube. And then I eventually figured out by jamming two butter knives into the side and then putting the top back on. So then I got back to work. And then somehow, uh, whenever there's this little button that it sucks once whenever you press the button. And so then, for some reason, it just did this weird spam thing where it turned into this desoldering machine gun. And then that was a bit unnecessary, and it got in my way a little bit until it just straight up broke. Like it stopped heating up and everything, and it was just I had to throw the entire thing away and use my whole payment that I was given, because I was given $50 extras because I had to spend a lot of hours on this. So I had to spend my whole payment on buying a new desoldering gun, which still hasn't come in yet, uh, in order to get the job done and resolder what was left. Thankfully, I had done the bare minimum of what I needed to, but now I can't do anything like lube the switches or anything. So then that was upsetting. So then I was getting the new switches out so I could jam it into the computer. It had two kinds of switches. One kind was the Gatoron yellows, and then the other one was like Halo Trues and whatnot. And then I tried putting the 30 Halo True or 40 Halo Trues into the thing, but the switches weren't compatible with LEDs. So then I had to take each switch apart and then grab two pliers and then just keep bending that tiny piece of plastic until it finally snapped. The first time I didn't know that, and while I tried to break that tiny flap of plastic, which I don't even know why that's there in the first place, I ended up spending 45 minutes trying to break a single piece of plastic. Thank God I eventually figured it out once again, so I was kind of just sitting there. Sometimes it took like a few seconds, sometimes it took 5 minutes. I ended up spending 6 hours finally taking all of those apart and then jamming them into the keyboard. And then I can't believe I did the stupidest thing in my entire life. I accidentally mixed the keycaps with the keycaps of another keyboard that looked close to identical, but so it was hard to tell like which keycaps were which, but not close enough to eventually realize that, oh wait a minute, they are the same. So I ended up spending another like 45 minutes on that. And then finally, finally 3 or 4 minutes ago, I finally slapped it all together. I still haven't put solder back in it because I just don't have the solder gun. I I burger mounted it. It was great. I put the O-rings on the thing and I slapped it all together. And the worst part is the stabilizers are rattled. And I just can't lube the stabilizers right now because A, I can't take it apart, and B, even if I could take it apart, I've gone through so much work for this singular keyboard. It's taken me a total of what 14 hours to put this single goddamn keyboard together when the first one it took me like what 2 hours. 2 hours total for me to put that together and lube the stabilizer. This has been terrible. I thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That is all.